Hey, it's Melissa Moore, and welcome to Melissa's Mile High Kitchen. We are going to make the most delicious, gluten-free, dairy-free sour cream coffee cake today. So this was my Nana's recipe, and I have adjusted it, and I'm telling you, this is spot on, and it's going to be great. And here we are today filming once again in the beautiful Mountain High Appliance showroom in Littleton, Colorado. We are in the Jen Air kitchen, which is known for luxury and innovative technology and just bold designs. And I love this kitchen because, you know, for me, if you've followed me for a while, it has to be easy to use and everything has to work just simply. And that's what you get with Jen Air kitchens. All right, are you ready for this sour cream coffee cake? So good. And like I said, you're like, sour cream, dairy-free. Yep, I'm gonna show you. All right, so first thing you wanna do is get your mixer. I've got my KitchenAid mixer. This is the one hubby got me a few weeks ago that I'm absolutely loving. So the first thing we're gonna do is put in 1 cup, which is 2 sticks of dairy-free butter. And you can do whatever kind you like best. I have been loving this country crock home style. It's just really good. They're not paying me to say that. I'm just telling you, I really like it. All right, so 2 sticks of the dairy-free butter is going in your mixture. So what we're gonna be doing here to start off with, and I have a magic trash can over there, so I'm not just throwing trash on the floor. But what we're gonna be doing is creaming the butter and the sugar and the vanilla. So we are making a traditional kind of a cake batter, if you will, okay? So we're gonna be making a cake batter, and then we're gonna be making the cinnamon, sugar, streusel, topping, whatever you wanna be calling it. And then we're gonna layer them. So you do need a bump pan, all right? So that's one of the things that you need. The other thing is you need to preheat your oven to 350. So get going on that if you haven't done that yet. Yes, I did that before we started. I had to double check there. All right, so you know me, and you know I've got my handy dandy notepad here with the recipes on it. So 1 cup of dairy-free butter is in our mixer. You can also use a handheld mixer if that's easier. We're gonna go to about a medium speed. Get that butter going. Now I have 1 cup of white sugar here. Slowly add this in. This is just like any kind of a cake recipe. So we're about a medium speed here. Slowly adding in the sugar, 1 cup of sugar. This recipe is not low sugar. So if you're like, I don't know if my A1C can handle it, I'm telling you right now, this is not low sugar. If you make it with monk sugar, there are sugar substitutes that you can make that will definitely make a big difference. I just have not done that yet. My husband keeps telling me that's on his request list. He's like, can you make something a little lower sugar? I'm like, sure, babe. All right, so there's that 1 cup of sugar in there. Blending it up beautifully. Next, what we're gonna do, and this is really your choice. You can do 2 whole large eggs. That's what I have right here. Get them at room temperature. That's what you always wanna do with eggs. Take them out 30 minutes, an hour beforehand. Because my daughter can't do the egg yolk, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 2 egg whites. So you're either doing 2 large egg whites, or it comes out to about 1/3 of a cup of the egg whites if you buy a carton of those. Okay, so I am doing this the old-fashioned way. Just separating the yolk, going back and forth. And I've usually had pretty good luck with this. They also make, my daughter's got an egg separator that she likes. She uses that a lot. Okay, so there's 1. We're gonna do the same thing here again. You're creating your own little egg separator here with eggshells. This is what my grandma used to do. And since this is Nana's recipe, I figured that's what we're gonna do. Okay, put those, ooh, slippery little suckers. All right, put those to the side. So now you've got 2 large egg whites. And like I said, you could also substitute flax eggs for it. I know Bob's Red Mill, some other companies make egg substitutes. You can do that as well. I found the egg whites gives it enough lift and it holds it together better than some of the other. But I know aquafaba. You've seen me cook with aquafaba before. That is another great alternative. All right, so you're gonna turn your mixer back on to medium. There it goes. Slowly add in your egg whites. Okay, we're bumping that up to medium. It's going a little crazy. Looks a little nuts, but that's what you want. You're fluffing it up. Those egg whites and then the medium speed, you're getting air, and you can see the difference here. All right, the next thing you're gonna do, because this is once again our cake batter, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Use a good quality vanilla too. That really does make a difference. Now, if you don't have, I have a half rubber scraper, half mixer attachment in here. So it's kind of scraping the bowl as it goes around. If you don't have that, make sure you've got a rubber scraper and you go along the sides. You just want to make sure you're getting all that cake batter down in there. All right. Scrape the sides, you're getting the cake batter. All right, so as that is going on, here's what I want you to do. You want to get your flour mixture ready. So in this bowl, I have 2 cups of Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1 gluten-free flour. You know I'm a big fan of their products. This bakes up really simply. So I've got 2 cups in here. Next thing I want to do is I want to do 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Throw it in with the dry. We're getting all our dry ingredients together. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. There we go. Half a teaspoon of salt. I wish I cooked like this at home because I don't have all, like usually I've got all the containers out everywhere and it's a hot mess. So I love that. I come here and I'm like, look at me, everything's nice and neat. Look how easy this is. If you're like how I normally am, yeah, rock it, just do it. All right, so we've got all of that in here. So we're just gonna give it a quick whisk. We just wanna get all the flour, dry ingredients together, because what's gonna happen next, because this is a cake recipe, is we're gonna add this slowly on the stir mode, okay? So that's the lowest mode you've got on your mixer. We're gonna add a little bit of flour and then a little bit of sour cream. And this is plant-based, dairy-free sour cream. I've talked before, my daughter can't have any gluten. She can't have dairy. She can have egg whites, but no egg yolks. I mean, she's got a very limited diet. So I have made this for other people and made it with straight sour cream. But I have actually come to love this dairy-free sour cream. And I was shocked. I think it's funny because dairy-free has come so far over the past several years. The next thing we're gonna do is get ready 1 cup of dairy-free sour cream. Look at that. Yeah, if you haven't worked with dairy-free products, they've changed a lot in recent years. So you want 1 cup of dairy-free, and that's what this is, plant-based sour cream. I'm gonna kind of put this in here. I just heard my oven beeping at me to let me know it was all ready, which is exciting. Okay, so there's your 1 cup of dairy-free sour cream. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the mixer. We've got our great sugared creamer, butter, all of that, and we will be slowly adding in a little bit of flour, a little bit of sour cream, a little bit of flour, a little bit of sour cream. All right, so let's start that up nice and slow. Well, it would help if there we go. Now we can start it up slow. That's the one thing with my new mixer. I keep forgetting, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta bring it back up. Because you saw my old mixer before and you just put the lever down. No. Okay, so it's stirring. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna add a little bit of flour. Okay, so there's a little bit of the flour mixture. Now I'm just gonna take some of this, boom, right there. A little bit of sour cream. Mixing it up, you can see. Okay, now we're going back, a little bit of flour. And a little bit of sour cream. All right. Okay, and then we're gonna put the final flour in there. Now we are in Colorado, so we are here in Littleton, right around 6,000 feet above sea level. So sometimes that will cause things to seem a little more dry, so you put that on top of gluten-free flour. if you would look in and you would just say, hey, that cake batter looks a little too dry, one of the things you can do is add in a tablespoon of a dairy-free milk. You could add in a tablespoon of water. So I'm just going to show you here. I've got a tablespoon of water right here. Stir, and we're just adding it in. Just adds a little bit more liquid. It doesn't change the flavor at all. And like I said, you could do a dairy-free milk as well. All right, that cake batter is now done. We're going to leave that set for just a second. What I want you to do now is get the filling. It's the filling, it's the streusel, it's the topping, it's whatever you want to call it. But you need 1 cup of chopped pecans. Now, I'm not saying pecans. I'm not from the South, but it is chopped pecans, all right? So I bought whole pecans, and then I just put them on a cutting board and just gave them several chops. You can just buy them like this too. It's a lot easier. All right, so to make this streusel topping filling, you need 1/3 cup of packed brown sugar. You can tell it was packed. All right, there we go. You're going to be mixing that in. Then you need 1/2 cup of white sugar. Dump it in there. And 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And we are just dumping all of that bad boy in there. Okay, so now the goal here is just to mix it up. You can do it by hand. You can do it with, I'm just using the whisk that we had out earlier. Just trying to get it all stirred. But the main thing is you don't want any clumps in your brown sugar, or if you do, little clumps. Let's just say that. It's probably more realistic. Little clumps, and then you just want it all mixed up so that the cinnamon, the brown sugar, and the nuts are all mixed up. Because this is going to be what goes in the middle of the coffee cake, and it also will go on the top. And I will tell you the secret I learned with gluten-free. I'm really making a mess today. I'm always proud of myself how, for the most part, I don't make huge messes here, but there are days. Today's obviously one of them. All right, so that's all ready. Here's the final thing I want you to get ready. That is your bundt pan. So first you're going to spray it. And I mean, you want to spray this bad boy really good. Last thing you want is to have your cake stuck. All right, so spray it. Now take a little bit of gluten-free flour. All right, here's what you're doing here. You are putting it in. This is called flouring a cake pan. So even though you've got the pan or your cooking spray, whatever one you're using in here, you still want to put a little bit of flour in here. It will make it pop out so much better. So I put the flour in there, and then you can see I'm like going like this, and I'm just tapping it to get the flour kind of all around. Okay, pan is now ready. The next thing you need to do is get your cake batter ready. So you're going to take it all out of here. See how we're looking. Looks delicious. Smells delicious. You can smell the vanilla, which is awesome. Okay. So here is our cake batter. Look at that. That looks so delicious. Okay, so here's what we're doing. We are putting half of this in at a time. So this is one of those recipes where it's like, all right, put half in, put it all around, okay? So your easiest way to think about this is you're kind of putting this in here in little balls or big balls, however you want to think of it. And if you're like, that looks like it's going to be hard to spread. It's not. It just takes a little getting used to. Okay. So you want half of it here on the bottom and half of it going on the top. And I always stress out because I'm like, I can't tell if I've put too much in or not enough. It works itself out. Now take your rubber scraper and kind of just work the batter till it's relatively smooth. Try to get it up so that it's even. And you can kind of see how I'm doing it here. Take it out to the edges. You've sprayed, so don't worry about it sticking. All right, so there you go. Now you've got half of it in there. This is where we're doing another half. We are coming at this now with half of this topping. So I'm going to use a little bowl. And what you want to do, so you're layering it. Oop, that was a lot. That's okay, you can still spread it. And this will really bake in. So if you're like, ooh, that's a lot of sugar. I told you it's a lot of sugar, but it's delicious. And this was my Nana's. I remember, so my Nana's from, which is so funny if you know the Toby Keith song, Muncie, Indiana. So my Nana, I remember going to her house, and Christmas morning, she always had this cake, and it was the best thing ever. Well, when I became celiac, I was like, oh my gosh, I can never have this sour cream coffee cake again. And I was like, that can't be true. We're going to figure out how I can have it. And so I worked with this recipe for a while, and the dairy-free butter, dairy-free sour cream has come so far that it made it work. So every time I make it, I call my sister. My sister's not celiac, and I call my sister, and I'm like, I'm making Nana's cake. So it's pretty cool. All right, so you're putting right now the other half of the cake on top of that batter. Get out all the batter. Use the rubber scraper. Get it out of there. Okay. You never want to leave any of that. This batter is so good too. Not that I've tried it without, it has eggs, but I have. Okay, now what we're going to do, it gets a little bit trickier just because you've already got some of the topping in there, but it's fine. You just want to, once again, work this batter around. Kind of connect it where you can. And it looks like it's going to be way too thick, and no, it's still moist. It's delicious. I know I'm using the moist word. A lot of people hate that word. Okay, look at us go. Look at us. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, this gets me very excited. All right, so we've got the other half of the cake batter spread out. I mean, there are probably people who could do it a lot prettier than that, but that's what we have. Now, the next thing we're going to do is work in the rest of this cinnamon, sugar, pecan topping. Now, I will tell you what I learned the hard way. If you do not stir this in a little bit, when you flip your butt pan over, all of this goes flying. Okay. So you just kind of want to work it into the batter a little bit. And nothing crazy. This is not, you don't have to go crazy, but if you don't work it into the batter a little bit, I'm not kidding you. It doesn't soak in. And I was asking my sister about it. And I said, hey, with Nana's coffee cake, do you have to work in the top layer? And she said, no. So I think what it is that we have to work in the top layer just because of the gluten-free. Gluten-free flour is a little more dense. It is a little more dry. And I'm not patting this down. I don't want to pat the cake. I'm using very light pressure here. But I just want to work it in a little bit. Okay, so this is ready to go. Yeah, you can see it's worked in. Otherwise, all the sugar would be like, woo, landslide, and it's not like that. Okay, so this is ready. We're gonna put this in the oven for, it's almost an hour long. It's more like 55 minutes, but 55 minutes to an hour at 350. All right, here we go. Let's get it in there. All right, so we've got our gluten-free sour cream coffee cake still baking in the oven. I've gotten time to get all this cleaned up. So I made a coffee cake earlier for me and my family, and I've also got an egg bake sitting back there. It's so funny because I go back and forth between calling it an egg bake and a casserole, but that is the tater tot sausage casserole that I made on a different show, on a different recipe, melissamoremedia.com if you want to grab that recipe as well. Also, Melissa's Mile High Kitchen, we've got all the videos up there. We'll link that recipe. But that is going over to my dad along with the coffee cake in the oven. But I want to show you the one I made a little bit earlier this morning. This is my family's one. So what we're going to do, flip it upside down. Look at that. All right, this is what I'm talking about. How gorgeous is this? Oh my gosh, love it. All right, so we're going to cut a nice big piece out of this so you can see. Look at that. Delicious. And that topping, oh my gosh, that's just the topping. So this is gluten-free, sour cream. It's actually dairy-free too. Oh, Okay, I'm gonna put a big piece in my mouth. Hold on. This is so good. So good. Gluten-free, dairy-free, sour cream, which is dairy-free too in this recipe, coffee cake. I'm gonna have to chew for a minute. This is why Andy, producer extraordinaire, cameraman, Melissa takes smaller bites. Why would I do that? Silly. But this is perfect. So when the one comes out of the oven, we're gonna take it out. It's gonna be warm. I'm gonna take that over to my dad along with the egg, sausage, tater tot casserole, and just he'll have meals for a week. So excited for that. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm Melissa Moore. It is Melissa's Mile High Kitchen. If you haven't subscribed yet on YouTube, if you would please, that would mean a lot to me if you just hit the subscribe button. Also, any of the recipes you want, melissamooremedia.com. And we are here at the beautiful Mountain High Appliance Showroom in Littleton, Colorado. We're in the JennAir kitchen. This has been a dream to work with. I love this kitchen. And so if you want more information about JennAir or Mountain High Appliances, all you have to do is go to mountainhighappliance.com. All right, until next time, take care, be safe, and happy cooking and baking.